Welcome to Christy Iwuchukwu's Brilliance TV show. My name is Christy Iwuchukwu, aka Lady Christy, CEO and founder of Chosen Path Global, helping women find their voice, speak up and speak out, gain confidence. And I am thrilled and super excited today. Let me tell you what we do here at Christy Iwuchukwu's Brilliance TV show. This is where we spotlight today's most business leaders, entrepreneurs, unique and most successful individuals. And that's where you come in, because this show is for you. Every Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we bring experts on different topics to enrich you in your journey. This is where you come in. So if you would like to be a guest on this show, I would love for you to send me an email at info@chosenpathglobal.com. Once again, it's info@chosenpathglobal.com. I can't get the word out. But anyway, excuse me. I am excited for today's guest and today's show. I'm being joined today by Dr. Zarin Gillani. So who is she? She is a psychologist, but not just a psychologist. She's also a counselor. She's also a life coach. And so when you work with her, you get the best of both worlds. But you know, when I met Dr. Z, I call her Dr. Z, back in October, what really I appreciate about her is her humility. You know, she's one of those individuals that was born with a silver spoon in her mouth. But what I really appreciate is her humility, that it doesn't matter who you are, she treats everybody with respect. So I'm not going to talk so much about her. I'm just not going to steal her thunder. I'm going to let her talk about who she is. She is out there doing amazing work with individuals, changing lives. And today, she is going to help us live life in full colors. Talk about living life in full colors. That's right. She's going to help you move past your undeserving history to honoring your undeniable brilliance. Did you hear what I said? She is going to help you move past your undeserving history to honoring your undeniable brilliance. So I want you to go ahead and get your pen and paper ready, because she's about to drop some nuggets. Please help me welcome Dr. Z, as I call her. Dr. Z?
Thank you so much, Christy. That was an incredible, introduction. And I'm so honored and humbled at the same time. Christy, I'm really, really humbled and honored to be on this show. Thank you so much for reaching out to me. And I am excited. I'm really excited to be here.
Wow. Like I said, you and I met back in, well, we were working with Dr. Ruben West, but then we attended the conference, the Black Belt Speakers Training back in October in North Carolina, and we met face to face. And it was really an honor getting to meet you. And here we are through that connection. So thank you for joining me today.
It's a pleasure. It's really my pleasure. Thank you, Christy.
So I know you out there doing amazing work, an international speaker. Did I say international speaker? All over, traveling all over the world, doing what she does best. That's changing lives. So I want you to help our audience and help us understand who is Dr. Z. And pull the curtain a little bit. I know that behind every successful person, there's always a journey that takes them there. And it's through the journey. In the journey is where we learn the greatest lessons. So tell us how you've been able to embrace your brilliance.
Thank you so much, Christy. I would like to quickly just go into the past. And it's funny that I should say that I'm going to take you into the past when constantly I'm trying to take my clients to the present and forward. But the reason why I want to go into the past is I just want to touch quickly on my childhood. I came from a very wealthy, very well-to-do family. I'm born in Congo, Central Africa, and there was a coup d'etat in Congo, and we had to leave Congo, and my father brought us all to East Africa. And then from East Africa, again in 1972, there was an exodus, the Uganda exodus, where Idi Amin, got all the people out. So then we left, and of course we came to Canada, and we lived in Canada for 25 years before my husband and I moved to the United States. But talking about my childhood, I was growing up. In my childhood, I learned so many incredible lessons from my mother, which at that time I never thought were important. I just thought that, that's just mom talking. But as I grew older, I realized that she actually had taught me incredible lessons. And quickly, I want to touch upon an example is where I was about 8 years old, and I've got an older sister. And when I was growing up, the word stupid was supposed to be a bad word. So my sister called me stupid. And of course, my left flew out in the air, and it just landed on her cheek. And it landed on her cheek, but she had a little pimple on her cheek. And that pimple burst. My mother, it was about 5 in the evening, my mother was cooking, and she was rolling homemade tortillas. And she had a rolling pin in her hand. So my mother came out of the kitchen, and an 8-year-old can run faster than a mother, trust me. So I ran behind the table, the dining room table, and she circled one time, but she was not able to reach me. So she just waved that rolling pin in the air, and she said, "You'll get it after dinner." So even though my mother had never, ever pinched us, but that rolling pin was really a threat. Anyway, to cut the long story short, after dinner, she told me, she said, "I want to know what happened." I said, "She already told you." And she said, "Yes, I know. She told me, but I want to hear yours from you." I never realized that that was my first lesson in listening to both sides. I was 8 years old. It never occurred to me. And when I told her that she's already told you, she said, "I know that. But I want you to tell me. I want to hear from you." That was incredible. And that taught me a valuable lesson. And I'm glad that I learned that lesson, because I've practiced that not only with my children, but I practice that with everyone in my life. It doesn't matter who it is.
Wow. So I want to find out from you. I don't even know where to start, but let's start from here. Tell me a little bit about the work you do with individuals, being a psychologist, and how did you make that transition to move from being a psychologist, and you've had so many years of experience practicing as a psychologist, moving from there to becoming a life purpose coach?
I'm glad you're asking me, because this is a question I get asked quite a lot. It's a very, very popular question, because people cannot understand how I made that transition. So I've got a 38-year experience in both clinical psychology and educational psychology. And 7 years ago, I started becoming very frustrated. I felt that there has to be a better way, because my clients cannot always stay in the past. You said, you used the word history in your opening, introduction. History has a vote, but it does not have a veto. Mm-hmm. History has a vote, but it does not have a veto. Mm-hmm. We do not have to stay in that past, because that was a past that helped us and shaped us to what we have become today. But we want to define our moments every moment, because this is a moment. This is a moment where you and I, with all our participants, everyone who's listening to us, we are making history. We are creating history. So this is history as well. And when I started getting frustrated, I thought that I could see the potential in my clients, but they could not see the potential in themselves. And that frustration was just so much that I actually started losing sleep over it. And then, there's a Zen saying that when the student is ready, the teacher will come. My teacher came in the form of a text in a phone from London. And I get this text and I'm being asked in that text that, would you consider being a life coach? I think you would be awesome. And I thought, coach? In my mind, I'm thinking coaching is sports, you coach sports. And so I started digging and I started searching, and I did such a lot of searching. And I came across International Confederation, International Coaching Federation, International Coaching Federation, better known as ICF. And then I saw how many coaching institutes were there. And so I started looking into it, and I thought, coaching, the difference between counseling and coaching is significant. People sometimes mistake, they think it's the same. It's not. Coaching is when you see the person as a whole person. When a client comes to my office, I see them as a whole person. I see them as a person with potential. I see with a person who has got the answers within them. They already have it latently within them. Whereas in counseling, you see a person as a broken person and you want to fix them. So what you're doing as a counselor, you are carrying the client, whereas as a coach, you are guiding the client. A huge difference. A huge difference. One is not empowerment. One is just supporting. The other one is incredible empowerment. It is just liberating. So I really liked what I saw, and I thought, being a counselor, if I were to become a coach, I think my clients would get a very, very rich session from me. And people have asked me, they said, you've spent so much money, you've got 2 doctorates, and now getting a coaching certification, isn't that sort of going backwards? But in my opinion, in my humble opinion, I feel that with me going backwards in terms of the way they describe it, it is a plus because my clients move forward. So for me, that's a huge plus. It doesn't matter whether I went backwards or I went sideways, as long as my clients benefited and they move forwards.
Wow. I think you touch on very important things, because oftentimes some of us will go to school, and when we get out of school, we continue to do the job for what we went to school for. And sometimes we don't always like it, but because it pays the bill, we're stuck in this job. And day after day, we dread about going to job. And for you to really make the decision to go from being a clinical psychologist to being a life purpose coach is really empowering. I remember watching a program one day, and I saw a medical doctor been practicing for over 20 years. Come to find out that all those years he has been practicing, he never really liked being a medical doctor, but because that's what he went to school for, he didn't know how to get out. And according to him, he was miserable for the entire 25 years. Well, eventually, he made a decision to transfer from being a medical doctor to being a chef. People thought he was crazy, but this man, as he explained it, was one of the happiest men alive, because what he did is what he liked. So I think it's very empowering, and thank you for sharing that with us. So tell us a little bit about, we get stuck and we love to live in our history. To live in our history because we love to collect evidence to support why we don't want to move forward. When you start working with your clients, how do you get an individual to get unstuck? What strategies do you use to get individuals to get unstuck?
So let me share with you Ralph Waldo Emerson's quote, all right? And he says, to be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else. To be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. When my clients come to me and they say that they feel stuck or they want to do something but they do not know how to do it. So I take them to basics. And I'm telling you, Christy, there's nothing like basics. Trust me. You go to basics. So how did you learn to walk? Did you just get up and start running? No. You had to take the first step. And then you took the second step. So what I would do is with my clients, I would sometimes use their profession as an example, or I would use their one achievement or something that they've done, or even becoming a mother, having a child, or being an older sibling and having a younger sibling, and say, well, what is the first thing that you did for your sibling, or what is the first thing you did when you realized that you were pregnant? How did that make you feel? And how did you agree or decide that you're going to take responsibility of this little child, this little life that's growing within you, and this child is going to be totally helpless, completely dependent on you. Anything you do may or may not hurt the child. And yet you agreed to go on all the 9 months and give birth to this child, and decided that you are going to mother this child. You're going to nurture this child. You're going to harness this child. So how were you able to do that? What kind of school did you go for you to learn the basics of how to even stay pregnant for 9 months? It took courage. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is never the absence of fear. It is feeling the fear and doing it anyway. And to me, the word fear, F-E-A-R, means false experiences appearing real. Many, many times, Christy, we worry so much about things, and then at the end of it all, we realize none of those worries really came to fruition. Those are false experiences. They just appear real. But we tend to allow the things that we cannot control to overtake us. Whereas if we can just take what we cannot control and say, this is beyond me. I cannot do it. I do not want to put my energy into it. I would rather take that energy and put it in what I can control. So what are some of the things you can control or I can control? And then let's work together on how shall we now modify it so that you can then move forward.
Wow. Awesome. I love what you said and how you said being yourself is really the best, because I believe that when we are our best, that's when we operate the best. I'm at my best when I'm at who I am. When I'm trying to be what I'm not, it's very difficult for me to operate at my best. And you gave that quote by Walden very well. So I want to ask you a question. So how long does it really take for one, when we talk about the work that you do, I'm sure that it has to do with mindset, because mindset is everything. If you want to change everything, you have to change your mindset, I believe. And such as the same with the confidence that I teach women, that mindset is everything. You have to choose and decide to change. Otherwise, you're still going to be around, the same thing over and over and over again. So how do you get to work with your clients to get them to see the greatest within them? Because it's all about believing that there's some greatness. And I believe that every one of us has some greatness, but sometimes it takes someone else
to point it out,
to play and have you remember and confirm and let you know that you have greatness. Especially when you have so many negative past, especially when you have been beaten down by life. So how do you get one to see the greatness within that person?
Okay. So in my work, in my experience over so many years, excuse me, I have actually realized that majority, 99% of the individuals are lacking healthy self-esteem, the first thing. And they do not see themselves as worthy individuals. You know, I have clients that are extremely educated, incredible professions, doctors, attorneys, who abuse their spouses. What makes them do that? It's because it's a lack of self-worth, and they cannot afford someone else becoming better than them. It's a fear. And it is so sad. So sometimes there are times when, I don't see any change in the client for the first 6 weeks to 3 months, because they're still stuck, they're stuck, they're nervous, they're anxious. They feel, because there is that fear of the unknown. Because if they feel that if they do, they're in that comfort zone, and if they are going to let me pull them out of their comfort zone, then they're scared. They do not know what's going to happen to them. So they resist. They really resist. And so, there are times when I have to use, very common, again, going back to basics, right? Common examples in their own life, and say, well, do you ever remember even being in somewhat similar situation, or maybe a sibling of yours, or a friend of yours, or somebody you knew who was in that situation? How did they, or how did you work at that time? How did you come out of it? Let's go there. Let's go to that event, that experience. And let's see, what did you do that you were able to then move from there and get to where you are today? And what is it that's now holding you back? So if it's not self-esteem, it's confidence. Not only that, but again, the fear of having to learn something new. And I keep telling them that an individual, statistically, Christy, it is a proven fact that an individual in their lifetime will change their profession 3 times. So to change your profession, you will have to either go back to school or learn a new tool or a new trade. So you will have to come out from that comfort zone, step out of that box, and get into the unknown, venture into the unknown, so you can then get another profession and have another degree or whatever it is under your belt. But it's a combination of things. It's self-esteem, it's lack of confidence, it's fear holding them back, fear of the unknown. And also, many times it's also that it's an income, and they feel that they do not want to jeopardize that income. What if they do not have that income coming in? Then what happens, right? So then I work with logistics with them. We try to work with logistics, and I say, okay, let's say, for example, hypothetically, you have got $5,000 coming into the month. And if you were to do something else and have a part-time job, how much would it cut it down? Now, what is it that you can do, or what is another income that you have in the family that can support, that decrease in your income? So you really become down to earth then. I just, roll up my sleeves and just put my hands into the trenches.
Wow. I love what you said, because I know for myself, when I was starting out into this business, one of the things that I feared the most was really being in front of the camera. Believe it or not, it was really being in front of the camera. And I remember the very first post that I had, I couldn't put it on. when I finally loaded it on Facebook, YouTube, I went ahead and deleted it. Why? Because I thought maybe if I do a second one, the second one will be better than the first one. I deleted the first one, did the second one, and the second one was worse than the first one. And let me tell you what I realized, that the only way to do anything is to do something, period. Until you begin to do that thing, the fear will never go away. So I totally agree with what you said. So from working with your clients, what do you think is the number one thing, that the reason that they keep holding in their past?
If it's a male client, okay, and this is going to be funny, but it's true. Male client, then it has a lot to do with their ego and the position they already are enjoying. If it's a female, it's two things. How will the spouse react to their idea of change? And what will happen if they don't have their income coming in? And a little bit of their own self-worth, you know, that I don't feel, they'll come and tell me that I don't feel I can do that. And I would say, you don't feel that you can do that, but do you know that for sure? Like, are you sure? Do you know that for sure? Do you know it in your heart, in your mind? Do you really know it, that you cannot do it? You feel it. So you are really thinking from your right brain, you know, your emotion, but you have not applied your logic to it. Right? So realistically, your left brain will always give you the statistics and your right brain will always apply the emotion. So if you feel that you cannot do it, but do you know it from your left brain? Do you totally know it?
Wow. I never thought about it that way. So I'm hearing you saying that really there's a difference between male and female in terms of their ego, in terms of not feeling worthy enough, in terms of worrying about what if I change now, how will the income come? Correct? That's what I'm hearing you saying, right?
Yes.
Wow.
And then the men would also feel that if they have to go back to school or learn a new trade or change the, go for another job or something, then they have to be dependent on their wife's income. And that makes them feel, well, not very comfortable. So they hesitate, you know?
Oh, I totally get it. Because as a man, you always feel like you are the one to provide for the family. And when you're not able to provide for the family, I can see how uncomfortable. But oftentimes, that's not always the case, because it's really their mindset. That's what they're thinking, but may not be the truth. But I get it. It's part of being a man, and there's, it is what it is, right?
But I just challenge them. If it's a man telling me that, I challenge the men. And I tell the men, I said, where is it written, honestly, where is it written that a man cannot go to school while the wife works? Is it written in any book? Show me the book. I said, it's not written. These are all man-made. These are all man-made, rules. And that's fine. We said that, okay, if you go back to the time of cavemen, then you say, okay, the man is the breadwinner. The man is the one who brings the food. But we are no longer living in the caveman era. We are living in the 21st century. Women are very educated. Men are educated. Today, if you look at from a professional world, both women and men enjoy amazing positions as in huge corporations, and women are doing just as good as men. I am sorry to say that women are still not being paid what a man is being paid to do the same job. However, women are equally good, and they are getting there. They are breaking the glass ceiling. They are.
Wow. We're going to have to table that topic for another topic, but you brought up a very interesting topic, and that is how the men view when they have to go back to school and have to be supported by the wife. Because if it's the wife, they don't see it that way as well. But That's part of the whole thing. Maybe I'll bring you on to talk about that next time. So I like that dynamic that you shared with us. So what can you share with us on how to live life in full colors?
So there are many things I would love to share, but what I would like to say right now first is that, you know being known as a therapist, a co-author, a trainer, international speaker, you know these are more to me than just mere titles. For me, these are platforms to come into the lives of the people. These are opportunities to come into the life of the people, and 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 and, and it puts me in a better position to be of service to my clients, where I know that through working with them at an individual level or at a group level, I can support them in them reaching their highest potential. We all have greatness within us. We are all born with greatness within us. We have the spirit in us. How can we not have high potentials? That's the question I ask them. How can you not have high potentials when you are a child of God? You have a spirit in you. So that's the first thing every one of us need to recognize, that we all have potentials, incredible potentials. And if you don't take the bull by the horn, somebody else will. Opportunities are not going to wait there. They're just going to run us by. So if we don't do it, somebody else is going to do it. When we think about a position, a job offering, by the time we make a decision, somebody has already said yes. And each time we are saying yes to somebody else in terms of doing something good for them, we are empowering them, we are inspiring them. And my tagline is InsPowering. I put the inspiring, and the empowering and put it together and created a word. I just said InsPowering purposeful living. That's what I want my clients and everyone who listens to me to know, that I inspire them and I empower them. I equip them with the knowledge that they have it within themselves. They have all the answers within themselves. All I need to do is just guide them to get their answers. But they've got their answers are within them. They have it already. What I would love to say to them also is that never underestimate yourself. We have a tendency, especially women. I see women and I see young female girls. They start, underestimating themselves. Never, ever underestimate yourself. You are as good as the next person. You're as good as the next person, if not better. So have that in you, engrave it in your heart, engrave it in your brain, and that will become your platform to use it as a trampoline and, just jump high.
Wow. You brought up another point, which is the way young girls and young boys, if you look at both of them and you talk about the young girls, for some reason, that confidence, low confidence, really begins as early as possible. When you look at the boys, it's totally different. Even when the boys cannot do something, they act like they can do it. On the girl, on the other side, even if when they can do something, they act like they can't. So I believe it starts very early on, and I'm glad you touched on that. So I appreciate the work you do. And at this point, I want to find out from you. I know you are doing amazing stuff, amazing work out there, and you have a lot of things going on and things that our audience would like to take part in. So can you tell us a little bit of what you have going on?
So I have events where I invite people, I invite speakers to come on the platform and speak. And so that way, they get the exposure and people get to know them, people get to know their expertise and their strengths. And and I don't do it just in the US. I have, as an international speaker, I've had opportunities to speak in many different countries. I have spoken in, I've trained and spoken in UK. I have done it in Australia a couple of times. I was just in Portugal a couple of months ago where I did a training. I have been in Dubai. I'm going to Amsterdam and Madrid, two countries, in a few months. And then I'm speaking at NASA in Houston. So there are multiple things going on. There are a lot of, opportunities. And I would absolutely love to see more and more women venturing out of their comfort zone. Just take a leap of faith. Just take a leap of faith. So what if you make a mistake? There's not a single person in the universe who can tell you that they've not made a mistake. It doesn't matter. I remember an amazing teacher who told me once that when you stand up in front of a group of people, and if you feel that you have made a mistake or you've said something you shouldn't have said, he said, does the audience know that? And I said, I don't. Well, they might. He said, how do they know that? Did they know your script? I said, no. Okay, so nobody knows. You know it. Keep it that way. And it was so empowering. And then in the Toastmasters, this is one thing I would love every woman to be. They should join Toastmasters. That is a great platform. We learn so much. There's so much growth and potential. A lot of potential comes out and we learn a lot. In the Toastmasters, the first time when I had to do a 20-minute video and present, and then I had a panel of people who gave me a critique, and I almost was in tears. And then one guy comes and tells me very gently, and he said, don't take it too hard. He said, we've all been there. He said, but this is what I'm going to tell you. He said, next time you speak, pretend everybody's sitting in their underwear. It's not going to bother you. But that was great. That was great. So I've learned some amazing things from a lot of people. And I tell you, the world is full of education. I can never say that I know it all. I cannot say, because the more I learn, the more I find out that I just do not know it. And when I see somebody doing something and I tell myself, when will I get there? I just never seem to catch up.
All right. So do you have anywhere that our audience can contact you if they would love to work with you?
Absolutely. So my website is drzarin.com. drzarin.com. And my email is drzarin@drzarin.com. And my cell phone number is 512-825-0864. And the best way to contact me would be email, because I'm very good at responding the email. Sometimes when I'm with somebody, I do not answer the phone. You'll have to leave a message and then I have to call you back. But that is the best way to get hold of me, would be the email primarily.
Okay, everybody. You guys heard it from Dr. Zarin Gillani. What a great presentation. And thank you for all you've done. We are still talking to Dr. Z. This is Christy Iwuchukwu from Chosen Path Global. Listen, you are listening to Christy Iwuchukwu's Brilliance TV show, where we spotlight today's top business leaders, entrepreneurs, and most successful individuals. And that's where you come in. This show is for you, and I want you to be a part of this show. You can connect with me on social media on Chosen Path at chosenpathglobal.com. Again, chosenpathglobal.com, or at Lady Christy I as in India. Lady Christy I as in India. Again, we're going back to Dr. Z. Dr. Z, do you have final words for us?
I would love to share that, what I have shared today is not necessarily the, only only way of doing things. We all have to be, we are all on our journey. The very first thing that we all need to learn, especially women, is self-love. Love yourself to such a degree that no matter what anybody says, no matter what anyone does to you, that love is always your shield and protects you, because you know yourself way better than anyone else. And you should have the confidence of knowing who you truly are. And the way you will know is through self-love. Give yourself a lot of self-love. Take good care of yourself. Nurture yourself. Absolutely nurture yourself. Women have a tendency of giving so much, and that is why, women end up getting breast cancer. I'm a breast cancer survivor myself. Because we give so much and we always put ourselves on the back burner. Don't do that. If you take care of yourself, then you can give better to somebody else, but you cannot, we have to give from the overflow. So fill your cup first, and then whatever is flowing over, that's what you share. Fill your cup first.
Thank you so much, Dr. Z. I appreciate you. I appreciate your presentation, and I hopefully that I can bring you back next time. I know that the audience has been fed, and I thank you so much.